Okay, what are we doing today, kiddo?
We are answering some of the most commonly questions we get asked about basic chameleon care.
Okay, let's start.
So the first one is, what kind of enclosures do they need?
Okay, so the enclosure type doesn't actually matter. You can have a screen or a glass, whatever you've got, but the minimum requirements, it does have to be 24 by 24 by 48 inch. So that's 2 by 2 by 4 feet, and it needs to be 4 feet tall minimum.
So it has to be pretty big.
Yeah.
But
because chameleons are arboreal, which means that they climb. So they need lots of climbing, but they also need to be able to, walk horizontally.
Okay. The next one is, what kind of lights do they need, and what kinds would you recommend?
Well, first, they need 2 different kinds of lights. So first, they're going to need a heat bulb. They're going to need heat. So there's lots of different heat bulbs that work. Just normally like a 75 watt or something is, I think, what I use. I'm not sure. I think so. And then you also need a linear UVB bulb. And that needs to be a T5. And basically, the 2 brands that I use are Reptisun or Arcadia. And that'll be a T5 UVB bulb linear 5.0 from Reptisun or 6% from Arcadia. They're basically the same thing.
Okay. The next one is, what do they need inside their enclosures?
Okay, so first off, they're going to need something to climb on. So branches, stuff like that, all throughout, not just at the top, not just at the bottom. They should be able to get to any portion of the enclosure except like directly, like super close underneath the heat bulb. Unless it's a screen enclosure, obviously they're going to climb on top if they want to go there. But they should be able to get anywhere in the enclosure. So you're going to need lots of branches and sticks that are like tied together and secure. And then also plants. They need to have places to hide and feel safe.
Would you recommend like live plants or?
Oh, definitely live plants. Live plants are always better. Especially with veiled chameleons. Veiled chameleons will eat. They'll try to eat anything. So if you have fake plants, if they end up being able to like bite through the fake plant and eat it, I mean, it's not exactly safe. But also, just anything as close to their natural environment as you can get is going to be better, obviously. So, yeah.
Okay, the next question is, what do they eat? So, like, what can they eat?
They can eat a lot of bugs. There's mealworms, crickets, dubia roaches, black soldier fly larvae, hornworms, superworms. There's all sorts of stuff that they can't eat. I would recommend giving them at least 3 different options to eat. Maybe not every single day, but switching it up a little bit every so often, giving them something else, to eat. Varying their diet, because obviously they're going to eat different stuff. You're not going to eat chicken and rice for the rest of your life. That would not be very fun, would it?
So, like, what do you do if, if you're trying to figure out if they can eat it or not? What do you do?
Oh, like a trusted source?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say? So, really, there's lots of trusted sources for chameleons for what they can eat. I think, honestly, a lot of the sources that you find about what they eat, is probably going to be accurate. I'd say if you're not sure, then, compare it with something that at least 2 or 3 people have agreed with that are like trusted sources, which means that they know what they're talking about. Like, one person might tell you that, it's smart to feed your chameleon, a spider that's walking around your house. Yeah, probably not. Not the best idea. It might have parasites. It might just irritate their mouth because maybe it's a venomous spider, or, maybe it has, I think it's oxide crystals or something inside of it that can just harm them a little bit. So
probably don't want to feed them anything.
Just check
around.
Is really,
Just check the internet.
We have lots of sources online to use. Neptune the Chameleon or Bill Strand Chameleon Academy is pretty great sources. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is how do they get their water?
Okay, so a lot of people have asked me this question, thinking that they get it from the like bugs, and that's not 100% false. Obviously a bug is going to have a little bit of liquid, moisture, water, whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
but they do still need a source of water, and it cannot be just a regular bowl. If you have a bowl in there, that's fine, but remember, chameleons can't swim, and they can't really notice or see, you know, not moving water. Still water is very hard for them to see. So they need some sort of drip system or a misting system. I personally use just a regular fine misting spray bottle, and I spray down their enclosures once or twice a day, depending on how dry it is. And kind of, I do it at my own discretion and do what I feel is the right amount. Sometimes that's, 3 minutes long, and I just sit there misting like, and sometimes that's only like 30 seconds. But they do need. I also have a drip system, so they actually have a constant source of water when they need it.
Okay. Are there any differences in what you need for males versus females in their enclosures?
Definitely. So, like I said, the maximum enclosure size is 2 by 2 by 4 feet, but they also cannot be housed together. And did I say maximum? I meant minimum. The minimum enclosure size is 2 by 2 by 4 feet. But females actually, they will lay eggs, whether they have a male with them or not. They are kind of like chickens, where they just lay eggs, fertile or infertile, like whether there's a male around or not at all. So you have to provide them with somewhere to lay those eggs, because even though they're not fertile, the female doesn't know that, and she still thinks, oh, I have to protect these eggs. Because almost 100% of the time in the wild, a female will be gravid with fertile eggs. She will not have infertile eggs. So she naturally thinks that are fertile, that they have babies inside of them. So she has to keep them safe and give them a good spot to be laid. I almost said planted. So you have to provide her with a lay bin, otherwise she probably won't lay them. And even if she does lay them somewhere, that's not healthy for her, And she did it out of desperation. So you should provide her with a spot, and that will not only, make her feel like her eggs are safer, but also probably provide a bit of enrichment.
Okay, so what would you recommend to put in the lay bin, and how deep does it
Yes.
need to
Okay.
be?
So, a couple of years ago, it was like it needed to be at least a foot of. Most people say, and I agree, it's 50% clean soil with no whatever that's called fertilizer in it. Like it needs to be very clean and not like from outside soil, and then 50% um, washed play sand. So, and you just mix it up and get it moist enough, and that makes a really good substrate for them to lay in. Most people said that it needed to be a foot deep and at least a foot wide, and yeah, they're pretty much right. Recently, they've been discovering that the chameleons in the wild don't lay quite that deep. They lay about 4 or 6, sometimes 8 inches deep on average, of course. So if you have a bioactive enclosure that's got, 6 inches of soil, you can try that and see if she'll lay in there. And obviously, if she doesn't feel like laying in there, you can provide her with a different option that's bigger and she might feel safer. But I think you can try, definitely, to let her use that first if you'd like.
Okay. The can females, like two females or three females, live in the same enclosure, or can two males or three males live in the same enclosure?
No, that is the straight up answer. I do know that some people can get away with it somehow. I actually have a friend who doesn't keep them together, but she is able to have them all out at the same time, and they don't attack each other or fight. The male and female will not mate, and the female will not get angry. and somehow she's managed to keep them together, but they're still not in the same enclosure, just in case anything happens. And I will say that on average, like not even on average, don't test it. Please don't try it, It's not the safest thing because if they can manage to get to each other, one of them will die, maybe both. Probably. There's not really a chance. So, no, they can't be housed together. Multiple males, multiple females, doesn't matter. They will attack each other. Chameleons are not, they don't like each other. They're solitary animals.
Okay, the last question we have is what supplements do they need?
I've got them right here. So they need calcium without D3. It'll say it in big letters. It's just, it needs to be without D3 because if it has D3, then they'll be getting all the calcium they need, yeah, but they'll be getting too much D3, so they need a little less of it, and you also need some vitamin A. And I do calcium 26 out of 28 days, and vitamin A 2 out of 28 days. That's all of the questions that we commonly get asked of how to care for chameleons. Camila was actually able to mate with Camo a couple of weeks ago, so stay tuned for a video on how to collect and care for chameleon eggs. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time.